Hey everyone, welcome to Subculture Film Reviews. I'm going to be doing a few solo reviews for a little while just to try and catch up on some of the films that came out during our lockdown. I was lucky enough to see some of the films that some of the other guys that we work with here at Subculture weren't able to see. So I'm going to do a few solo audio reviews over the next few weeks to try and bring us up to date with everything that is out. And one of the films that kind of got a bit of a staggered release here in Australia because of everything that was going on was the brilliant film Babyteeth. Now, for a lot of people living in Melbourne, this was a little bit of a surprise when this film started to pick up awards, because they were like, what is this movie? Because they hadn't seen it. Of course, it came out in Sydney and Brisbane, who came out of lockdown a little bit earlier than everywhere else. But for people in Melbourne, it was kind of like, this movie's winning all of these awards and we haven't seen it. Of course, when I say it won a few awards, it won a lot of awards. It won Best Lead Actor for Toby Wallace, Best Lead Actress for Eliza Scanlon, Best Supporting Actor for Ben Mendelsohn. Essie Davis won Best Supporting Actress. It won Best Film. It won Best Director, Best Screenplay. So I know a lot of you out there are going to be a little bit interested to know what I think about this movie. And of course, since all of that has happened as well, the film has now also been nominated for Best Director at the BAFTA Awards as well. And there was a few people, I think, kind of hoping that it might have got an Oscar nomination, which unfortunately it didn't. But look, I have to admit that I liked this movie, but I did find some faults with it as well. Now, Babyteeth as a film, the story is, it's a pretty heartbreaking story, to be honest, with what the film actually looks at. It's about Miller, played by Eliza Scanlon, a seriously ill teenager who ends up falling in love with this drug dealer called Moses, played by Toby Wallace. Now, that in itself is unusual. She is a private schoolgirl. She's got a bright future ahead of her academically, and she has this chance meeting with Moses at a railway station and ends up falling in love with him. Now, of course, her parents, played by Essie Davis and Ben Mendelsohn, they're not too happy about this pairing at the start, because who would? The parent in their right mind would be happy with their 15-year-old daughter bringing home a drug addict and dealer in his 20s. So it is a bit of a weird storyline from the very start. But the thing is, Moses makes her happy. And because she is so sick, her parents kind of have to put aside their thoughts on Moses and let nature take its course, because he is the one person that makes her happy. And at some stages during this movie, you really get the feeling that he is also the only person that she can really talk to. There are definite problems at home. Her mother, Anna, as I mentioned before, played by Essie Davis, she's a drug addict in her own right, in a way, in the sense that she is addicted to prescription medication, and quite often she is non-existent. Now, the person I feel kind of sorry for in this film is the Ben Mendelsohn character, because yeah, he has his own issues that we see in the film, and I won't give that away because it'll be a little bit of a spoiler, but he has his own issues, but he always tries to be there for his daughter and for his wife. And sometimes in this movie it kind of feels like he's almost like the family's punching bag. He's very quick to cop the blame when anything goes wrong, but at the same time he's always there for them, even though they don't really notice. Now, it is actually a storyline around Henry, the Ben Mendelsohn character, that I think makes this movie a little bit clumsy. So I'll talk about the negative first. Now, Henry has kind of a strange friendship/relationship with Toby, played by Emily Barclay, a pregnant woman who lives across the street. He's drawn to her, and that's all fine. That works as a storyline, but the problem is it doesn't seem to go anywhere. Something happens between the two after a series of kind of incidents that happen there, but that storyline doesn't really feel like it's moving the film along at all. And sometimes it feels like the screenwriter may have just included that there to kind of give Henry something to do, and that almost seems a little bit unfair to Ben Mendelsohn, because it makes his character awkward at times, and I don't mean awkward in the sense that he's awkward around Toby, which he is. I mean awkward in the sense that it feels like those scenes have just been put in there to give him something to do, as it doesn't really move the story along. I actually think there would have been more power to this film if they'd had more scenes between Henry and Miller, and maybe a couple of more scenes there with Moses as well, because strangely enough, in this relationship with husband and wife, it feels like it's Henry that comes to accept Moses a lot quicker. So it would be nice to kind of see scenes in there where he sees something with Moses that his wife can't see. Now, the strengths of this movie takes me back to when Australian cinema was so brave. When we were making movies like Acolytes that kind of bucked the trend and ignored what was going on with the rest of the cinematic world. It is a strong film. It's a dramatic film. It draws you in. Like, I'd be lying if I sat here and said that I didn't feel anything for these characters when I was watching the film, because even though I wasn't a particular fan of Anna, I still felt for her. I felt for the fact that she was living this life where she was unhappy, and she'd given up on things like her music career and things like that. And you realize that happens so often in society, and it shouldn't. So I did feel for all of the characters here, even if I disagreed with what they were doing at the time. Look, the film almost has a little bit of a Larry Clark feel to it. When we were first introduced to the character of Moses and we saw the relationship starting to happen between Miller and Moses, my first thoughts were the Larry Clark films, Bully and Kids, or to a lesser extent, but definitely Bully, where the director, and I take my hat off here to Shannon Murphy, for working on a film that kind of bucks social trends and tells the story anyway. So, yeah, I did like this film, and I love the performances. I think the performances in this movie are out of this world. Eliza Scanlon, this reminds me of when I sat and watched the Australian film Bad Girls, and I ended up walking away being a huge rap for the two stars of that film and saying that they were going to go along to bigger and better things because they were put in such a stunning performance. Same for Eliza Scanlon. She is going to be someone that we're talking about here in Australia for a lot of years, and don't be too surprised if she's not the next Margot Robbie and goes off to Hollywood and makes a name for herself there, because I can see that happening. Toby Wallace as well. I thought Toby Wallace was sensational in this film. I've been a huge Toby Wallace fan for a lot of years now. I saw him a lot in a lot of films when he was younger and have always been a huge fan for him. Dark Frontier, his first movie, I still think that is one of the most underrated Australian films of all time. It's just a movie that I can go back to and watch so many times and just see new things in every time. Toby Wallace, again, I think he's someone that is going to end up being a big name in America. Of course, we have seen him go across and make The Society, the television show. For those of us that like our more hard-edged kind of things, we saw him in Romper Stomper here in Australia, and yeah, that kid has got the world at his feet at the moment. And the fact that he's able to play a character like Moses that you would generally associate as an unlikable character and end up having the audience absolutely love him, I think that just really goes to show the power of Toby Wallace's performance. Essie Davis here, fantastic again. And another amazing performance by her. Of course, every time she's on screen, I think we end up saying that, but playing a damaged mother, she does it so well here with this film. And Ben Mendelsohn, what can I say about Ben Mendelsohn? Again, another actor that I've had huge raps for ever since I watched Idiot Box for the first time. Stunning performance here again. A bit different for him. We're so used to him over the last couple of years playing the bad guy in films. I've actually said in a couple of my reviews recently that I wish that we could see him take a more media role, just because he has done that bad guy role in Hollywood now in films like Robin Hood and Star Wars for so long that you kind of wanted to see him in a performance where he got to test his acting ability again and become a character that people would like. He definitely does that here. So to wrap up, like I said, I don't think Babyteeth is the perfect film. I think it does have a couple of weaknesses, especially with that storyline around Toby and Henry that just seems a little bit out of place. But I think it is still an amazing film, and I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. And if you haven't had a chance to go and see Babyteeth yet, go and see it, because it is an amazing piece of Australian film, and I think it's going to be a film that we're going to be talking about for a while to come. So it's 4 out of 5 for Babyteeth for me.